now. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
It's a new year, it's a new season, and Smokey and I are back with the Scoreboard preseason episode. We're not talking about preseason games, don't worry, it's not going to be that boring, but we have our traditional bold predictions and also our award predictions, which we've been doing for a couple of years going into the 2021 season. Smokey, how are you doing? How did you get through the offseason?
Oh, man, it was a long offseason, but I'm doing well. Probably better than Texans fans right now, or Jaguars fans for that matter.
That joke is never gonna die.
Oh no, never. I'll tell you right now though, if you are fans of any of these four teams, you have no reason to be excited for this season. Actually, there could be 6 teams here, but the Jaguars, the Texans, the Jets, or the Falcons, you are not expecting to win anything this season if you're fans of those. And you could also add the Panthers and the Broncos if you really wanted to.
I'll contest you on one of those, but that may or may not be part of one of my bold predictions later, so I'm not going to reveal that just yet. Yeah, it's always a tough time between draft and season, though a little bit more bearable if your baseball team's really good. I can watch the Giants every once in a while. They're going to win a title this year, so I'm happy about that at least. Basketball, not so much, but football's back. That's the best thing that could have happened to us. And I have a quarterback controversy to look forward to, which might not be one, but we'll probably talk about that during the season. So, bold predictions. What is the boldest of predictions? I'm going to give you the first one, and you can pick if you want to go with a really tough one or a more tame one. So what's your first bold prediction going into the season?
Do you want mine first?
Yeah, give me one. We'll go.
All right. My first one is going to be Carson Wentz returns to top 5 QB status. Now, I know this, actually, over the past couple of seasons, you wouldn't have thought that was so bold, but he was the 32nd ranked quarterback in the entire league. He was the worst quarterback in the league last season. And a lot of people don't believe this, but I really do believe that Carson Wentz returns to a top 5 QB this season. They still have a top 5 O-line in the NFL. They still have the weapons. There's plenty there, running backs galore there. There's no reason why Carson Wentz shouldn't return to top 5 unless he himself has just lost it for good. If he doesn't, this is a prove-it season. If he doesn't win this year, then I think it's over for Carson Wentz. But I really think with this team, with Frank Reich, Carson Wentz can return to dominance this year.
For sure can. I definitely believe that that's possible. Now, I'd still consider it probably not so likely considering the amount of quarterback talent that's been developed over the past 2 years, and he probably right now no one would consider him top 5. He's a top 5 talent, we know that, and if he plays up to his abilities, he's going to play, but he's got to be better than Phillip Rivers is in his last years of his career. Yes. So, bodes well for the Colts. All of that is assuming that he stays healthy, which has been his biggest problem so far in Philadelphia. But you mentioned that great offensive line, probably best center guard combination, so he shouldn't see that much pressure coming up the middle. Gonna help him out. But I like the pick. I like the prediction. I can't disagree with it. I probably won't take a bet against it. Here's my first one. Opener, traditional, classical, had to go by it. Your Las Vegas Raiders are going to end the season with a record of, I'd love to say 8-8, but there's 17 games. They're going to go 8-8-1. Yes, they're going to get a draw in there. One tie game, just so they can still be 5. It's the only way they can be 500, which is the only spot they ever deserve to be. So, Raiders go 8-8-1 this season. I'll put it up for a bet if you give me very good odds, by the way.
I will take that one because that is so unlikely. It's possible, and if you would have said 8-9, I would go, wow, that's definitely going to happen. But 8-8-1, I'll take that bet. What do you feel like? 3-1, 4-1?
No, this has to be like double digits. We're talking about a draw. How many draws happen? How many times?
Like one a season.
One. So this would have to be the one. I would like and then the 8-8 also has to be right in a very strong division potentially. I'd go like 15-1. That's the the lowest I'm gonna go.
Man, if I do that, if that does happen somehow, then that means all of my other bets this year are probably negated.
Yeah, you could win 5 bets and it's all.
Absolutely.
You can think about it though, but 15 to 1 is the one I'm gonna offer up here. How about your next score prediction? What else?
All right. This one has to do with running backs, and Ezekiel Elliott will win the rushing title this season.
That is bold. That is bold. I want to contest that one, actually.
All right.
If you give me 2 to 1 odds or something, I will, or whatever odds you want. I will think about it.
Well, I mean, it is bold. There's only one of these every season out of usually at least 32, sometimes even more good running backs out of the league. I would take like a 3 to 1.
3 to 1 for him to do it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take that. I'll take that. We'll note those down later. I'm gonna take that because I don't believe it. The average running back is good for 2 seasons nowadays. Seems to be that way in the modern NFL. And also, we know what Jerry Jones thinks about Dak Prescott, right? He loves Dak Prescott. Pays him all the money. He wants to see passing. He's drafting receivers. He is bolstering up the defense. He's not doing all that to hand the ball off 25 times a game. And Ezekiel Elliott's not going to be the catalyst of that offense. Now, if that's for better or worse for the Cowboys, that's debatable. Because I think he's the best player on that offense. And I think their running game is probably more solid than their passing game. But they're going to force the pass because the Cowboys do what makes Jerry happy, and that's seeing the pass. And he wants Dak Prescott to hit those 4,000 yards and those receivers put to work. So I don't think he'll see the workload to be able to do it. So I will take that bet. And there's other teams who rely on the run more. How about this one? And this is looking a bit forward already to the playoff times. I'm going to say that both the AFC and NFC championship games this year or next year are going to be between divisional rivals. How about that? So only one division represented in each championship game.
Wow.
I'm not going to specify which ones they are, but there's some powerhouse divisions. Think, AFC West, NFC West.
True.
And there's some maybe not so powerhouse divisions. So,
well, we've seen many times where 3 teams from one division makes it into the playoffs, but for that to happen, it has to line up perfect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is a very small percentage, and that is an extremely bold take. And what kind of bet are you willing to put on that?
It would have to be at least 5 to 1, I think, because just statistically, it's unlikely. But there is a lot of, if you think about it, there's a lot of feasible combinations that would make a lot of sense. Think Chiefs, Chargers, think Rams, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers, think, I'm not going to talk about the NFC South just yet, but there is a lot of possibilities. Ravens, Browns, if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
So
Ravens, Steelers.
Yeah, to a lesser degree, I think Steelers not so hot on my list going into the season. But you always have to think about the Steelers.
Then we have a bold prediction coming up to talk about. Then.
Okay, what's that?
You want to go ahead and I'll give you that one now. That was actually going to be my number 5. The Browns will finish 4th in the AFC North.
Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that bet. Listen, I like the Bengals. Joe Burrow, hopefully full health season. We know the Ravens are fantastic. Steelers, couple question marks, but the Browns are really good, and they ran the football. That's typically consistent. Like if last year was like a Baker Mayfield MVP breakout season, and Odell and Jarvis Landry were going nuts. And they probably had Josh Gordon or something. So just assume they did. And it was just fireworks out there. A bit more dubious about it because that stuff breaks down really quickly. But solid run game, solid defense. They're good for 8 to 10 wins at least. So I will take you up on that. If you want to take that, I guess it would be at 3 to 1 odds since we're talking about 4 teams. So
it'd be about the 3 to 1.
I'll take you up on that. We're gonna have to write all these down after the show. But
listen, and this is merely it. I mean, it's not off. I spent all last season hyping up the Browns and telling you how they're going to make it to the playoffs. But this is merely a cycles and trends ordeal right here. This is just how these things tend to play out. And I specifically look back at the Bengals. Even though the Browns did make it farther than the Bengals did in 2015, this is exactly what happened to them, and everybody thought Andy Dalton was the truth. Now these guys are making it to the playoffs. AJ Green looks like Julio right now, and blah blah blah. And where did they finish next season? Well, it wasn't last, but it was third. And I almost thought about putting them tied for last place with the Bengals, because I don't think the Bengals are gonna win the division by anything. But I figured I'd make it a little more bold and say the Browns finished dead last.
I will take that, but a lot of Browns fans are not going to be happy with that one, for sure.
Not at all. Of course not.
I definitely will take it on that one. How about this
one? I don't
hate
the Browns either. I just want to say that. I don't hate the Browns. I like the Browns. I like most of the players on the Browns. I like most of the players.
Okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't even go that far. I wouldn't say I like the Browns. They're probably they're not my favorite team in the division, that's for sure. Probably has to be the Bengals. I don't hate them particularly either way. So how about this one now? Going to the AFC East, and I'm going to predict it's going to be a passing division, as there will not be a 1,000-yard rusher in the AFC East throughout the entire season. Now, you have to believe me on this because I can't prove it, but I wrote this down before the Sony Michel trade became public. I had this written out, and then I check NFL.com, and Sony Michel is with the Rams. He's gone from New England. And I'm like, okay, the stars are aligning. This has to be correct. The Jets, who knows? They might be bad. The Bills are going to pass the football. Dolphins, I don't know. It depends on whether Tua is going to stay alive for the whole season, not getting destroyed by injuries again. And the Patriots, they have to figure out the quarterback situation. If Mac Jones is in, they're going to throw the football. If Cam Newton's in, he's going to take a lot of the running workload. So stars align. In my opinion, no 1,000-yard rusher in the AFC East.
Well, I'm running through the entire division right now in my head, and there is not a superstar running back in that entire division. You can't. Maybe Zach Moss is the best running back in that division.
Maybe the best candidate.
Yeah, Damian Harris, we haven't really seen him perform in the NFL. You have two undrafted free agents running number 1 and number 2 for Miami. It's really possible. That really is. Dang.
And
I don't even know if that's that bold now that I think about it.
It's with 17 regular season games. But
I'll take you up on that. What are you looking to put on it?
What I'm betting on it, I'll have to think about. But odds wise, probably 2-1 is fine. Maybe even 1-1. I'll have to go look at all the projections again. But 2-1, 1-1. It's a pretty even one, I think. Actually, I don't think there's necessarily a lot of running back depth to be found.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, a lot of those teams play good defense. Traditionally, the Bills have a good defense. True. We know that the Patriots always have a good deal. Generally, whenever people aren't holding out, they have a good defense. So
and if Josh Allen doesn't completely regress, which he shouldn't, he's going to regress. He's definitely not repeating that season again. But there's no reason why they would need to just pound the ball. They could go downfield at any moment.
They definitely have the threats. Yeah, Stephon Diggs. They have the deep threats. No need to.
Plus, it's a committee.
Exactly. Yeah. No need to have that superstar running back anyway. So I'm gonna stick with this one. What else do you have?
All right. Which one's more bold? I'll go with this one. Kenny Golladay and Daniel Jones. This is extremely bold now that I read it back. Kenny Golladay and Daniel Jones will finish as top 10 at their respective positions.
Oh,
now this is,
okay.
This is extremely bold. And I thought about this because Daniel Jones, except for the O-line and possibly the defense, Daniel Jones is almost set up in the same position that Josh Allen was in last season. And almost, the same position that Cam Newton was in 2015. He has the measurables to do it. He has his star receiver now. He has his Stephon Diggs. But the thing that gives me pause is the O-line. So I can't really just go out and say, hey, this guy is my surprise, out of nowhere MVP candidate this season. I think he has the talent to do that. I really do. I think Daniel Jones is talented enough to do that. I don't think the team around him is quite good enough, but I do think he's capable of breaking the top 10 this season. And if he does it, it's going to be just like Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, and they will both hit top 10 at their respective positions.
All right, I will say this, right, or actually a question for in terms of betting here. This is a package deal, right? Both of them have to do it. Not if they're both individually do it, both of them at the same time, or you lose the bet. That's important. And also, okay, they play in a weak division, so I get the appeal of the bet. But if there's one thing that Washington, Dallas, Philadelphia are generally some of the best at, that's rushing the passer. If they're not good for anything, but they have good defensive lines, they rush the passer. And
he's got to play Chase Young twice this year.
But Chase Young, Brandon Graham, you got a lot of talent coming after him there for sure. So you know what? I will take that bet. I will take that as a straight 1-to-1 bet. Mostly
1-to-1.
Yeah, I take it if you want to. If you want to maybe go 2-to-1, I might move there. Mostly because of Daniel Jones. I mean, I would not dispute Kenny Galladay as a top 10 receiver. If that's the only thing you presented me with, that would not have been very bold. But putting Daniel Jones in there, I might even take it at 2-to-1. So
I'm telling you, that's what they told me about Josh Allen last year. Just remember that.
But comparisons, different situation, kind of though, right? Like, Josh Allen
that's the
sort
reason.
of.
That's the reason I went top 10 and not number 1 overall, like I predicted for Josh Allen.
That's fair, and you were almost right. He was number 2.
Yeah,
it's pretty close. How about this one, also relating to quarterbacks? And this is one of my breakout quarterbacks, the real breakout quarterback, if you can even call him that, because you already broke out last year. But Justin Herbert is going to finish top 3 in the MVP voting this season. I have my money on him winning the MVP because the odds are too tempting not to. But top 3 in the voting, I have confidence in.
Man, I think I could take that bet. What are you looking to put on it?
Probably 2 or 3-to-1. I'm gonna need to look at some of the odds, but 2 to 3-to-1 seems about right to me.
Yeah, I think
because realistically, you can probably bubble out like 6 to 8 quarterbacks that are gonna be in the top 3 because MVP is quarterback award basically. Unless you have an insane breakout season running back, and then I might actually amend that Justin Herbert is going to be a top 3 quarterback in the MVP voting, likely to be the same thing, just to be on the safe side. And Justin Herbert's, he's in that bubble of 6 to 8 guys. I think he's firmly in that with your Josh Allen's, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Justin Herbert's in the midst of that whole thing. The offense that he's been operating coming into his second year, the way he's looked as a rookie. And he's not the kind to fall off a cliff, by the way. He's not that kind of player at all, because he looked rock solid last season. So my money's on him. So I am definitely going to put some cans on him as well.
I'll take that at 3-to-1. Now, to be clear, I don't expect him to fall off a cliff, but I do expect him to regress. Not even a huge regression, but I expect him to regress from what he did last season. I think he's going to hit a bit of a sophomore slump, which usually applies to running backs in this situation. But it also, it does tend to apply probably 50% of the time to breakout quarterbacks in their first season in the NFL. Look at Lamar Jackson last year. So I don't expect him to fall off a cliff, not at all. And I expect him to be decent and manageable, and they could possibly make a shot for winning that division, but probably not with the Chiefs there. But I do expect him to regress, so I will take that. I will take that bet at 3-to-1.
It's possible. My money's on him. I have one more. Do you have one more?
I do.
Is this the boldest one?
No. Actually, I just gave you the boldest one. I think the Kenny Galladay and Daniel Jones is probably the boldest one. Maybe. But I want to throw this in there because I have thrown this out the past 2 seasons that we've been doing this, and for the wide receiver who's going to take over the number 1 slot this year. My guy this year is going to be CeeDee Lamb. We did it with Chris Godwin a couple seasons ago and Calvin Ridley last year. Both of those turned out to be true. So this year I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. I just want to get that on the record that's going to be my guy to end up as the number 1 receiver on the Cowboys this season. It's not a bold take or anything because I don't think it's really that bold this year.
I think it's very reasonable. It's sort of a 1-to-1 sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But Okay, let's stay on the wide receivers. I'm going with A.J. Brown will finish as the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL this season.
Like A.J. Brown? The guy on the Titans?
Yes,
the
absolutely.
Titans that have Julio Jones?
Yes, and that is the exact reason. Because it all comes down to double coverage. Who are you going to double cover? Now, Julio... Yeah, people would look at this from the outside and say, well, Julio's coming in. He's going to take some of that production away from him. On the contrary, I think he gets more production because of Julio. You can't double cover A.J. Brown with Julio on the field. You can't with Derrick Henry on the field. What are you going to do? Who are you going to send extra people to cover? A.J. Brown is going to be one-on-one, and we've seen ever since he got to the NFL that he beats one-on-one coverage every single time. I mean, maybe there is a 1% out there where he doesn't, but 99% or more, A.J. Brown wins that matchup against Jalen Ramsey's of the world and guys like that. So I'm taking A.J. Brown to be open more times than not, and Julio to be a decoy a lot this season, and you bringing it in to cover guys like Derrick Henry and Anthony Firkser. I'm taking A.J. Brown to win number 1 wide receiver this season.
Man, you got yourself a bet. I think this is a pretty bold one. You definitely got yourself a bet with that one. And here's, first of all, why, right? Passing the football is the emergency solution to this entire offense.
No, I get that. But we do have a new offensive coordinator this season.
We do, but as long as Derrick Henry's going to produce, they're going to run the ball. And then you have Julio, who he didn't sign with the Titans to be, to be the second, to play second fiddle and draw double coverages.
That was his role last season.
Yeah, that's why he wanted to get out of Atlanta. Also, the team wasn't very good, so he's joining a team. He wants to make plays and go to the playoffs, but he wants to be paid like a superstar. He wants to be fed. Football's like a superstar, so you're not going to single out A.J. Brown. Julio's going to draw the double coverage just mostly because of his name, because I don't think he's necessarily a much better receiver at this point in his career than A.J. Brown.
Not at all.
Because A.J. Brown is really, really good. But a lot of factors have to come together for the Titans to want to pass that much. And to want to pass that much, not to Julio Jones, but to A.J. Brown. I think there's other receivers lined up to just be in a better spot for this award, like Stephon Diggs, who's very clearly the centerpiece of his offense.
Of course, but that's why it's a bold prediction.
That's why it's a bold prediction. That's why I'm going to take the bet as well. I still have my boldest of predictions ready for you, and you should sit down if you're not currently, because you're going to scoff at it. I already know you're going to scoff at this one. We already hinted at it. People aren't going to like this one. No one's going to agree with me. Not a single person in the world will agree. Maybe a couple, but not a lot on this one. The Carolina Panthers are going to go 5-1 in the division. 5-1. That is 5 wins, 1 loss. And that 1 loss, probably Tampa Bay. They just have an insane defense. They're going to wash away the Falcons and the Saints.
Sounds like you believe in Darnold like I believe in Daniel Jones.
I have been known to believe in Sam Darnold. Yes, I remember that the day that the trade happened, I tweeted out saying that I'm open to any bets, saying that the Panthers would have the best starting quarterback in the division next year. And by the way, that's still open. So if you want to put something on that one, still down with that. I think Sam Darnold's going to be he's going to be unleashed. I mean, not that the Panthers are a complete team and he's like joining the Bucks or the Chiefs or whatever, and he's just going to slot in and run the show. But they're a lot better than any Jets team he's been a part of. So.
For sure. I agree with that. And I tell you this, I think the Bucks are not going to repeat. I've seen that narrative all offseason. The Bucks are going undefeated this season, and they're going to be the first 20-0 team. And I don't believe it. I don't know
about that. Yeah, no.
I think the Bucks are going to return to. I mean, probably you still have Tom Brady there, so it's probably not going to be mediocre. But I think they're going to be another 6-loss team this season.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
But so I mean, that does leave way for the Panthers because, and unless Jameis has completely improved, who knows what that situation is going to look like? It's very possible.
I'll take the Panthers for that. 5-1. I know it's bold. Like, it's the boldest one for sure. As far as Tampa Bay, they still have the best defense in the league, so you can't discredit them for that. They still have possibly the best array of offensive weapons in the league. If Rob Gronkowski really is still at that level, we'll see about that. He didn't really look like an elite tight end during the season, but during the Super Bowl, I mean, he was the best player on the field.
And Leonard Fournette looked legit again.
You got Leonard Fournette. You got maybe the best backfield, definitely probably the best receiving core and best defense in the league. They're going to be a good team. They're going to split wins with Carolina, though, because of Sam Darnold, hopefully, if he stays healthy there. And the Panthers are going to own the division. Now, granted, the Panthers probably won't make the playoffs. It depends, actually, on how well that offense is going to work. I'm keeping that as an option, but probably won't make it. But within the division, Saints and Falcons, a lot of question marks there. That could be 4 wins.
Yeah. Well, I'll take you to go 5-1. I will take you at 5-1. I'll take that bet.
Absolutely, yeah. Quite possible. So I'm gonna come up with some odds for that one.
Check